The joy you experience in life is shaped by the nature of your inner dialogue. Marcus Aurelius quietly reminded himself of this nearly 2 millennia ago. But those words strike differently when you're staring at your reflection at 3 a.m., asking yourself who you've become. You've felt that, haven't you? That sudden awareness that something's shifted. When did I stop looking after myself? When did self-care turn into this towering, unreachable thing that seems to require luxury treatments, faraway retreats, and more time than I can spare? The reality is this: we've misunderstood what self-care really is. True change doesn't stem from bold moves. It's born in the smallest, often overlooked instance. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that becoming someone new doesn't happen with sweeping change. It happens through tiny, consistent patterns that build like compound interest in your emotional reserves. Imagine a stream carving out rock, not with pressure, but with quiet persistence. That's what these 5 micro-rituals will do. Over 6 months, they'll shape you quietly, yet profoundly, until someone looks at you and says, "What changed?" And you'll know it wasn't some grand overhaul. It was 5 simple actions done every single day. The beauty of Stoic self-care lies in its elegance. Marcus, Epictetus, and Seneca weren't lounging in marble baths. They were leading, teaching, exiled, enduring, busy, burdened people. But they designed small, repeatable practices that fused with their routines, transforming them into engines of resilience. Here's where most go wrong. They assume self-care is about adding more tasks. But the Stoic path is the opposite. It's subtractive. It clears the mind's clutter, removes emotional weight, and replaces draining behaviours with life-giving ones. It's about finding sanctuary within your existing reality. This isn't some recycled advice to drink more water or sleep 8 hours. Of course, those help, but they're surface solutions. What I'm about to offer goes underneath. These practices address the root of your disconnection, why you feel burnt out, and why transformation feels so far away. Each one is under 5 minutes. They cost nothing. You can do them anywhere, unnoticed, but together they trigger a tidal shift in every part of your life. When Epictetus said, "No one can hurt you without your permission," he wasn't only referring to outside forces. He meant the ways we injure ourselves through neglect, overextension, and forgetting that we matter too. These micro-rituals are your permission slip to start mattering again. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. You just need to recalibrate. Like a guitar that's slightly off-key, still beautiful, still playable, just needing a tune. The person you long to become is already present. These habits don't invent someone new. They uncover the version of you that's buried beneath burnout, anxiety, and overgiving. They are like archaeologists' tools, gently sweeping away dust to uncover a masterpiece. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start microscopic, so small your brain won't resist, so manageable that even on your lowest days you'll still show up for yourself, and slowly, decision by decision, you'll evolve into someone unrecognizable to the version of you who was too exhausted, too busy, too buried to care for themselves. Before we dive in, tap that like button, pass this video on to someone who needs this, and subscribe if you want grounded Stoic insight that works in everyday life. And whatever you do, don't skip ahead. Lock in the mindset by typing this below. I create massive transformation one day at a time. Ready? Let's start your evolution. Habit number 1. The 2-minute morning mind sweep. Your strength lies in controlling your mind, not what surrounds it. Embrace this, and strength is yours. Marcus Aurelius penned this privately, never meaning for it to be seen. But centuries later, we still return to those words, needing them. Your thoughts don't wake up clean. That's not your fault. During sleep, your brain processes old stress, future fears, and bizarre dreams about high school math teachers. The moment your eyes open, the mental static starts. What's for breakfast? Did I send that text? Why did I say that thing at dinner last week? What if today's meeting derails? That's the moment most people reach for their phone, hoping social media will bring order. It doesn't. It just compounds the noise, like tossing more clutter into an already messy room. The first small practice that will alter your life is what I call the morning mind sweep. Before you check your phone, brush your teeth, or start anything, sit on the edge of your bed and do this one thing. Observe your thoughts without judging them. Here's how. Set a timer for 2 minutes. You can close your eyes or just gaze downward. Picture your thoughts as clouds floating across the sky of your awareness. You don't chase them, fight them, or analyze them. You notice. There's the nervousness about today's meeting. There's a flicker of anticipation about dinner. There's that tune playing on repeat. There's the concern for your sister. The Stoics had a term for this, prososh, sustained awareness of the present and what lies within our command. Epictetus taught that we're disturbed not by events, but by how we view them. This practice helps you learn that distinction between thoughts you have and meanings you give. And no, this isn't meditation in the strict sense. You're not aiming for bliss or emptiness. You're simply taking stock, like a store owner checking shelves before unlocking the door. That's what makes it doable, even if you've never meditated a day in your life. Most self-care routines fail because they ask you to be someone you're not. This one works because it embraces whoever you are, in whatever state you wake up. Tired? Fine. Overwhelmed? Still okay. Angry? Welcome that too. The value isn't in changing what you feel. It's in meeting those feelings differently. Within a week, you'll notice recurring patterns. Oh, I always wake anxious on Mondays. That tightness in my chest comes when I haven't spoken to my dad. That low sadness lingers when a project ends. You don't need to fix these things in those 2 minutes. You're just collecting data. By week 2, something remarkable happens. When tension hits later in the day, a pause opens up. And you remember, this is just a thought cloud. You stop reacting. You begin choosing your state. And the effects? Profound. Conversations improve because you're not bringing mental static into every interaction. Focus deepens because you're beginning with clarity. Self-kindness grows because you're practicing non-judgment toward your own mind. The best part? You can do this anywhere. Waiting in line, 2-minute sweep. Before a hard talk, mind sweep. Feeling overwhelmed? Mind sweep. This is what Seneca meant by the discipline of desire, wanting what you already have, being with what is, while still striving for what could be. This isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about standing firm within your own reality, however messy. When you stop fleeing your inner experience, it stops controlling you. Someone who practices this daily for a month becomes fundamentally different from who they were. They navigate the day with steady presence, not mental chaos. They trust themselves to handle whatever arises. Speak this into being now. I greet my thoughts with curiosity, not fear. Habit number 2, the gratitude archaeology dig. Each fresh start is born from the ending of something else. Seneca grasped that transformation isn't about stockpiling more good things. It's about unearthing the value that's already there, obscured by routine and expectation. The issue with typical gratitude habits? They're vague and repetitive. I'm thankful for my family, my home, my health. Sure, those matter, But after a few repetitions, your brain checks out. It's like replying "fine" when someone asks how you're doing. Technically true, but void of depth. The second daily ritual that will reshape you is something I call gratitude archaeology. Instead of skating across the surface of obvious positives, you'll dig into the overlooked gems hiding beneath your day. Here's how to do it. At some point, any point during your day when it crosses your mind, become a kind of investigator. You're looking for one precise moment that went well. But here's the catch. It can't be big or expected. You're on a quest for subtle victories, fleeting kindnesses, or quiet wins that normally pass unnoticed. Maybe it's how your coffee came out just right without you needing to say anything. Maybe it's how your reflexes guided you out of the way when that cyclist passed too closely. Maybe it's remembering to water your plants, or finding your keys on the first try, or catching the elevator without waiting. The Stoics practiced what they called the discipline of perspective, teaching themselves to see reality unfiltered by their fears or assumptions. We, on the other hand, are conditioned to scan for faults, dangers, and problems to solve. This small daily dig retrains your attention to highlight what's already right, what's already present, what doesn't require fixing. And here's where it deepens. Once you've found your overlooked moment, don't stop at, "I'm grateful for this." Become curious. What about it made it stand out? Why did it stick with you? Who else made this moment possible? This is where gratitude becomes awe. Take that perfect coffee. Somewhere, a farmer tended those beans, likely on the other side of the world. Someone roasted them, packaged them, shipped them. A worker received them, stocked them, trained someone to brew them. The barista pressed the right button. The person ahead of you kept the line moving. Your tongue registered the flavor. Your nerves delivered the pleasure. Your brain interpreted the experience. Suddenly, this one small moment becomes an intricate dance of effort, collaboration, and grace. You're no longer just grateful for a drink. You're astonished by the web of lives and systems that gave you that moment. Practicing this doesn't just feel good. It rewires your brain. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, the ability of your brain to forge new pathways. Each time you seek out micro moments of value, you strengthen the circuits associated with joy, appreciation, and presence. And then something shifts. Around 2 weeks in, you stop needing to dig. These moments start leaping out at you. Your mind becomes attuned to goodness in real time. You notice the breeze hitting your skin, the cashier's unexpected smile, the way someone held the door a beat longer. You become a magnet for moments that were always there, now illuminated by your trained awareness. And this awareness spills into how you treat others. Once you're used to spotting subtle kindness, you naturally start offering it. You become more patient, more present, more generous, not out of duty, but because your eyes have been opened. This isn't about ignoring hardship. Stoic gratitude isn't fragile. It's robust. It's not about pretending everything's rosy. It's about forging such a grounded sense of abundance that even difficulty can't shake it. When you truly believe, not just in theory, but in your cells, that life is full of hidden blessings, you become steady. The kind of steady that draws people in. Not because you're faking positivity, but because you're rooted in a deeper truth. You see beauty where others see boredom. You find value where others find void. You carry a calm glow, not because life's easy, but because you've trained your vision to catch the sacred in the simple. Your outlook shapes your life far more than your circumstances ever will. When you change what you focus on, you change what's possible. This habit takes under 3 minutes, costs nothing, but it changes your internal narrative. the story you tell about what kind of world you're living in. Signal your commitment to this way of seeing. Comment this truth: I am a treasure hunter in my own life. Habit number 3, the energy audit moment. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What shocks me is this. We all cherish our own being more than others, yet we let their views weigh heavier than our own." That observation captures something most people feel but rarely say aloud. We're constantly pouring our life force into people, habits, and thoughts that exhaust us instead of fueling us. Think about your smartphone. If your battery keeps draining too quickly, you don't just accept it and carry a power bank everywhere. You check which apps are running in the background. You shut them down. You optimize settings. You do whatever it takes to preserve energy for what actually matters. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you ran an energy check on your life? The third micro-ritual that will quietly reshape your identity is what I call the energy audit moment. Just once per day, you're going to pause and ask a powerful, simple question. Am I being charged or drained right now? Then, and this is key, you'll act based on what you discover, as if your well-being truly depends on it. Because it does. Here's how it works. Set a random alarm during the day, or connect this habit to a regular event, opening the fridge, finishing a call, washing your hands. When the moment comes, stop briefly and tune in. Not your thoughts, your physical sensations. Are your shoulders tight? Is your breathing shallow? Is your chest tense or open? Jaw clenched or loose? These aren't just surface-level signs. Your body is broadcasting whether the current situation is filling your tank or draining it. The Stoics knew our time, attention, and energy were limited and sacred. Epictetus reminded his students that real wealth comes not from amassing things, but from minimizing unnecessary wants. That wisdom applies to energy too. It's not about having endless stamina. It's about guarding the vitality you already possess. Most people coast through life unaware of their daily energy leaks. They only notice once burnout hits. But by then, they're already depleted, and decisions made from exhaustion usually lead to more depletion. It's like trying to read a map once you're already lost. During your energy audit, you're not just becoming aware, you're choosing. If you realize you're drained, you've got 3 options: change the situation, shift how you're engaging with it, or step away completely. The point is to respond right then, not later. Later rarely comes. Maybe you notice you're doom scrolling and feeling worse. Close the app. Maybe you're stuck in a draining conversation that's looping. Kindly change the topic or excuse yourself. Maybe your muscles are tense from an earlier disagreement. Take 3 deliberate breaths and let that tension go. This isn't about running from every challenge or becoming self-centered. It's about cultivating what psychologists call emotional granularity, the ability to tell different types of discomfort apart. Some discomfort means growth, stretching, meaningful effort. That's the kind that energizes you. Other kinds leave you feeling hollow, from situations that give nothing back, connections that deplete you, thoughts that spiral endlessly. The energy audit helps you tell which is which. You learn the difference between good exhaustion, the kind that follows using your gifts, and bad exhaustion, the kind that comes from betraying yourself repeatedly, between productive difficulty and people-pleasing fatigue, between nourishing solitude and isolating shutdown. Do this consistently and you develop what I call energy intuition. You begin to feel energy shifts before they snowball. You catch yourself before saying yes to something that'll drain you. You recognize who and what restores you, and you start building your schedule around those things. This habit becomes your invisible force field, Not hard and defensive, but wise and adaptive. You become like a skilled farmer who knows the difference between soil that gives life and soil that stunts growth. People who protect their energy stand out. Not because they're always upbeat, but because they have energy for what matters. They're present because they're not fragmented. They show up fully because they haven't bled themselves dry. Your energy is your essence. How you use it defines not only what you achieve, but who you become. This one tiny ritual ensures you're investing in vitality, not draining it. It helps you choose relationships that multiply your power, not divide it. If you're ready to live like this, write it now in the comments. I protect my energy like the precious resource it is. Habit number 4, the compassion reset breath. Be gentle, the saying goes, for everyone you meet carries a hidden struggle. Though often credited to Plato, this idea now finds support in modern brain science. Our minds are wired not for peace, but protection, constantly scanning for threats, interpreting cues, guarding us from danger, even if that danger is imagined. And ironically, the person we treat most harshly isn't someone else, it's ourselves. Spend 5 minutes listening to your inner monologue. Notice what it says when you mess up, when you're behind, when you fall short. Would you speak that way to someone you care about? Would you speak that way to anyone at all? Most of us have an inner voice that could rival a drill sergeant, stern, sharp, and merciless. The 4th micro-practice that will quietly change who you are is something I call the compassion reset breath. Its purpose: to interrupt the background soundtrack of self-criticism and replace it with a brief but powerful moment of kindness, directed inward. Here's how it works. When you catch that inner voice in attack mode, and it will happen often, you stop for a single intentional breath and silently remind yourself, I'm doing the best I can with what I know right now. That's it. One breath, one gentle phrase. But the ripple effect, it's immense. The Stoics taught that pain hits twice, first through the event itself, then again through our judgment of it. Epictetus made it clear, it's not what happens that breaks us, it's our interpretation. Yet we rarely pause long enough to notice that second hit. We spill coffee and immediately label ourselves clumsy. We forget a name and instantly declare ourselves socially inept. We feel anxious and then shame ourselves for feeling anxious. This is what psychologists call the second arrow. The first arrow is the event, the second is the one we shoot at ourselves. The compassion reset breath stops that second arrow from landing. This isn't the same as a pep talk or an affirmation. You're not trying to convince yourself that you're flawless or that your mistakes don't matter. You're simply naming the truth. You're acting from your current level of awareness, skill, and capacity. That's not resignation. It's the starting point for growth. Think back to when you learned how to walk. You stumbled hundreds of times. Did you shame yourself for it? Of course not. There was no judgment, no inner critic, just learning through repetition. That same spirit of non-judgment is what the compassion reset breath invites back into your life. It creates something psychologists call a psychologically safe internal environment, the only place where true change can happen. Because when you're not spending all your energy defending yourself from yourself, you have energy left for real improvement. Here's what this moment of breath does on a biological level. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, moving your body out of stress mode. The soft self-talk triggers oxytocin, the bonding chemical associated with love, trust, and warmth. You are literally reprogramming your brain to default to care instead of critique. Do this for 2 weeks and you'll notice something shift. That inner voice, it softens. It pauses before it pounces. It grows curious before it condemns. "What can I learn from this?" replaces, "How could I be so stupid?" This subtle shift impacts more than just your inner world. When you stop being your own harshest judge, you stop projecting judgment onto others. When you allow yourself to be human, you automatically extend grace to everyone else. Your relationships become deeper because people sense something rare: safety. They feel seen, not evaluated. And this shift impacts your output too. With no inner critic draining your mental resources, you're free to problem solve, create, explore. You become more innovative because failure isn't personal. You recover quicker because you don't equate setbacks with shame. What makes this practice special is how it activates automatically. You don't need to schedule it or set a timer. Your own self-critical voice becomes the cue. Every time it shows up, you respond, not by fighting it, but by offering an alternative. The thing that once drained you becomes the very signal that helps you heal. And the person who practices this regularly, they're transformed, not into a perfect version of themselves, but into someone who has made peace with being imperfect. They carry a quiet strength, not because they have all the answers, but because they've stopped attacking themselves for not having them. And in that stillness, others find comfort. Not from your success, but from your humanity. Say it aloud or type it proudly. Let it echo into the world. I speak to myself with the kindness I deserve. Habit number 5, the daily done declaration. Each night before sleep claims you, pause and ask yourself, where did I mend something today? What temptations did I resist? In what area did I grow? These words, taken from Seneca's personal writings, reflect a nightly ritual he practiced himself, not to critique, but to notice. The tough reality of modern life is this: we're trained to focus on what we didn't get done, the unread emails, the errand left for tomorrow, the apology we didn't offer. We end our day burdened by incompletion and wake up already feeling behind. It's draining and totally unnecessary. The fifth and final micro-habit that will make you unrecognizable is something I call the daily done declaration. Every night, before you fall asleep, you'll spend just 2 minutes highlighting what you did accomplish, no matter how small, instead of obsessing over what didn't get crossed off. Here's how it works. As you lie in bed, scanning back through your day, find 3 things you saw through, addressed, or nudged forward. But here's the twist: you can't pick the obvious stuff. You're hunting for the quiet wins, those small acts of care, those subtle shifts, those nearly invisible steps that never get celebrated. Maybe you sent a message to check on someone. Maybe you ordered a nourishing lunch instead of fast food. Maybe you gave someone space in traffic, or responded with patience instead of snapping. Maybe you decluttered a drawer, drank an extra glass of water, or remembered to breathe before reacting. Maybe you resisted the urge to defend yourself in an argument. Maybe you gave your dog an extra scratch behind the ears. The Stoics called this nightly process evening review. But many people get it wrong. They turn it into a moral report card, grading themselves on their flaws. Real Stoic reflection is something else entirely. It's about seeing clearly, noticing the truth, especially the good parts, so you can do more of that tomorrow. Seneca understood what hustle culture has forgotten. Finishing matters more than perfecting. When you make a habit of honoring what you've actually done, you create something powerful. What psychologists call momentum of completion. You begin to perceive yourself as someone who follows through, someone who shows up, someone reliable, especially to yourself. This daily reflection even reshapes your brain. It fine-tunes your reticular activating system, the part responsible for directing your attention. When you make a habit of identifying completions, your mind becomes primed to notice more chances for small victories during the day. You start to see progress where you once only saw pressure. Most people go to sleep haunted by all they didn't achieve, measuring themselves against an impossible productivity standard. But real productivity isn't about doing it all. It's about doing something with meaning and knowing it counts. The Daily Done Declaration teaches your nervous system a vital message. You are enough. You do enough. You accomplish enough, just as you are. Here's what happens after 1 month of this nightly habit. You sleep more peacefully because your mind closes the day with gratitude, not anxiety. You wake with more energy because you're not dragging yesterday's unfinished list into today's mood. You become more motivated because you trust that even small actions will be recognized by the one person whose opinion matters most, you. This habit transforms how you relate to others too. Once you get used to acknowledging your own quiet wins, you'll start noticing them in those around you. You'll point out what someone got right instead of what they missed. You'll celebrate their effort instead of critiquing their result. And that makes you magnetic. Why? Because everyone is starving to feel seen and valued, even for the small stuff. And no, this isn't about settling or slacking off. It's about realizing that sustainable change is built not on tearing yourself down, but on steady recognition of tiny efforts that add up over time. When you feel truly acknowledged, even by yourself, you naturally want to give more. The Daily Done Declaration trains your mind to see each day not as a race to complete everything, but as a field of chances to give, to care, to act, even in small doses. That mindset changes everything. You stop seeing life as a string of demands. You start seeing it as a series of small opportunities to bring value. You stop carrying the heaviness of what's missing. You start recognizing the lightness of what's already there. The person who commits to this for 30 days becomes someone with a deep inner satisfaction. Not because life's flawless, but because they've trained themselves to spot what's already beautiful in the midst of all that's unfinished. They don't impress others through accolades. They inspire them by finding meaning in the everyday. Your life is already full of unseen victories. Your days are rich with small efforts. This practice just helps you see them clearly. Confirm this shift by saying it out loud or posting it below. I celebrate the progress I make every single day. There's a saying from ancient China: the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. This perfectly captures your current crossroads. You can't rewind the clock and start caring for yourself earlier. But you can begin now, right now, with these 5 simple micro-rituals that will transform you from within. Here's what will unfold over the next 30 days. Your mornings will carry more calm, as the 2-minute mind sweep gives you breathing room between thought and reaction. Your days will feel more vibrant, as gratitude archaeology teaches you to spot hidden gems in everyday life. Your stamina will stabilize as you learn to assess and guard your energy like the treasure it is. Your inner critic will soften as the compassion reset breath replaces harshness with grace. Your evenings will become gentler as the Daily Done Declaration lets you fall asleep aware of your growth. But the real power emerges when these 5 habits begin to work in harmony. You'll start noticing windows for change that once passed you by. You'll anchor into a deep sense of self-worth, not built on others' approval, but on your own consistency. You'll become someone others admire, not because you've mastered everything, but because you embody what it means to respect yourself in action. And 6 months from now, when someone looks at you and says, "You seem different," you'll smile, because you'll know it wasn't a single radical decision. It was 5 tiny, intentional acts, repeated day after day, that reshaped who you are. Not by adding something new, but by peeling away what never truly belonged. Your transformation begins with the next breath you take. The future version of you is waiting for the decision you make in this moment. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the timing to be ideal. Start tiny. Start immediately. Start now. Tap the like button if these small shifts resonated with you. Share this video with someone who needs to remember that true change doesn't demand perfection, only repetition. Subscribe for more grounded wisdom you can actually apply. And always remember this: you're not turning into someone else. You're finally uncovering the version of yourself that's been there all along, patiently waiting beneath everything that got in the way.